Hi, I'm Joseph Phillips. I'm the Director of Education at Instructing.com. I want to thank you for your time and attention today as we talk about 5 things to be a better project manager. Do me a quick favor. If you haven't already, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. Also, drop a comment here on this video and let me know what other topics you'd like me to address. Always looking for good topics to share with you in these series of videos. So today I want to talk about what are the top 5 things you can do to become a better project manager. So let's start with number 5. We'll work our way to number 1. So number 5 is to understand your DOD, the definition of done. Whenever I start a project, I want to know, how do I know when I'm done? How do I know when I'm successful? So in order to know when I'm done, I have to know what my set of requirements are. I have to know what the scope is for the project. Now in a predictive environment, this comes from our scope statement. Maybe our BA has given this to us, or we have gone out and gathered requirements as the PM, but we have a set of requirements that will constitute the end result of the project. It becomes our WBS and our activity list. In a agile project, the DOD is a little different. The DOD, we talk about what is the product backlog that's prioritized from most important to least important. And then we have some constraints of so much time and so much money, but we're going to deliver the most important things first. So how do you know you're done? What's your scope? And then, can the scope change? Well, probably in either environment. We know in agile we welcome change, but in a predictive environment we're more averse to change. So if the scope can change, what is that process that would change my DOD? What's the ripple effect there? And then part of the DOD that I want to know here at step 5 is what constitutes quality in your project. So we think about quality in your project, we think about a conformance to requirements and a fitness for use. So what constitutes quality? So I want to nail that down at the beginning of my project. So understand your DOD. Number 4, you want to be a great project manager. One of the things we have to do, number 4, is what are the big risks in your project? Often when I go in to consult or coach a little bit on some projects, and we have this conversation, all right, what are the risks in your project? I don't know. I haven't spent time looking at risk. I've been so buried worrying about my scope or when we're going to get done or how much this is going to cost. Big mistake. Risk is a threat or opportunity. So risk is uncertain and it can threaten our goals. It can threaten the business value, but there may be also some positive risks that we can take advantage of. So even if you don't have time to get into all of the tinier, smaller, more obscure risks, you must take time to look at the big risk. So the analogy that I often use in organizations that look at me with that I don't know is this dynamite or is this a meteor? A dynamite is something big right now that can have a big effect on our project. A meteor is, yes, a meteor could crash into our building and kill our project, but the odds of that are pretty unlikely. Dynamite are things that have a higher probability and could have a pretty significant impact. So we think about a risk, we're looking for dynamite, not necessarily meteors. Dynamite's much more closer, it's more imminent than that meteor. So we have to take time to look at and plan for the obvious risk in a project. So every project has some obvious risks, anything that's uncertain. Think about vendors, think about your team, think about the reliability of the set of scope, the set of requirements you have for scope. Those are all big risks. Always look at your risk. If you don't know where to begin with scope. So what risks are in scope? Do we have the skill sets? Do we have enough people? Do we have enough money? Do we have enough time? Those are always big risks in any project. Number 3 is control what you can control. Always a tough lesson for me to learn this, control what I can control. In a project, there are elements that we can control that are just part of the framework. So you think about scope control. You don't want scope creep, little things sneaking into your project. You want to stay in the confines of your scope. Schedule control. You want to work with your team to get things done on time, to get information from stakeholders and from vendors. So control your schedule. We want to aim to control cost. That we don't want costs to spiral out of control. So we want to track our cost and respond to our costs and stay on top of it. We don't want this to be a surprise that we're having an overrun on our budget. We're going to run out of money. Quality control. Quality control is inspection driven, that you want to inspect the work to make certain you're meeting the requirements. You do this throughout the project so you can make adjustments, not at the end when there's a mess. You do it throughout the project. And then we can control our risk responses. So when do we implement responses? How do we do it? Who's empowered to do that? What are the triggers that tell us it's time to implement these responses? And then control procurements, that we're working with vendors or contractors. So to make certain they're delivering on time and of quality. Now, there are 3 things that you can control that are all about you, the project manager, controlling. And this is the part that probably is the toughest thing to control. Your communication. Control how you communicate, that you want to be thoughtful and to be purposeful in your communication. Control your emotions, to have emotional intelligence, to have self-awareness and self-control. And then control your actions. How you behave is part of the things that you can control. So that's the 3rd thing, control what you can control. Number 2, you've heard me say this so many times in my classes. You've heard me say it on this YouTube channel that I know you want to subscribe to. But number 2 is so important, I want to bring it up again. Maybe you've guessed, and that is communicate daily through your project. So you think about, what communications do you dread? You think about all those people that are just suck the energy out of you, but you still have to talk to them. So how will you manage that? Who gives you difficulties? You need to go and take those on and manage that relationship. Even though they may be difficult to work with, do you have an alignment and vision to get to the end result? Who or what do you avoid talking to? Who are people? What? I'm talking about entities like government entities or certain vendors or other departments in your organization. So who do you dread talking to? And then I want you to develop a cadence of communication, a regularly scheduled communication. So if you have meetings that happen once a week, go ahead and schedule those. Every Tuesday at 10 a.m., this is our meeting. Every Thursday, this is the report I issue, or updating an information radiator, or whatever the case may be. That I do it on a regular basis. I anticipate that, and then the recipients of that communication can recipiate it. But communicate daily. You have to take it head on to be an effective project manager. So that's number 2. And number 1, the number 1 thing that you can do to become a better project manager right now is to know value. Know what constitutes value in the project. But value means different things to different people. What you value may not be the same thing that your team values, or your customer values, or management, or the sponsor values. So know value from your perspective, but also the value from the other people in the project. And then we want a common understanding of what constitutes business value, why we are doing this project, what's the business value, what do we get as a result. When we think about value, we have to think about success in the project, about defining what success means in the project. So for each of those different perspectives, my team, my vendors, management, your sponsors, any of your stakeholders, and of course, your success, you the individual, and define the end result to get to that success. So you want to communicate and control the understanding of value. So know the value of the project. And then tied to that, I'll leave you with this idea of understanding your value and how can you become more valuable as a project manager. I think a lot of that value comes from learning, from experience, and over time, gaining confidence. All right, thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed this video. Leave me some comments of other videos that you would like me to address, other topics you'd like me to address. In the meantime, I want you to keep moving forward.